We are praying. We say thank you, Lord, for the wonderful time you have given us. We count it as a blessing. Lord, as we start to learn your words, we are inviting for your presence to be with us. Let your Holy Spirit teach and guide us. This is our humble prayer. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. I hope you are all fine. Yeah, others, I think they'll join us probably. Mm, yeah. So I think today is just a conclusion. Yeah, today is just a conclusion of the study that we started looking at since May. Yeah, and we have been looking at the sin and the fall of the king of the south. Uh, you all know, like it's a theme within like Daniel chapter 2. Yeah, when a power sins, it goes down. Yeah. Or Ellen White would say national process leads to national ruin. Yeah. And we have been trying to maybe answer questions uh, like what's wrong with the king of the south? Why does the king of the south get punished? Why does it fall? Yeah, those are some of the things that we have been looking at. So we identified that the role of the king of the south is to restrain the king of the north from taking over the world or from rising. Yeah, that has been the role of the king of the south. When we check in the Bible, Daniel 11, verse 40, we can see even in the history of Fatima, yeah, we can see it. Yeah. And uh, therefore, um, it's not by surprise that uh, like in our time from 1989, we see that that is the final rise of the King of the North, and it's a history of success for the King of the North. And if it is a history of success for the King of the North, it shows that it's a history of failure for the King of the South. Yeah, the King of the South loses, meaning they failed to do their job function, which is restraining or preventing the King of the North from rising. And we have been trying to look into history to identify how that failure fulfills, yeah, in our time. And we saw that that role of preventing the king of the south from north from doing its agenda. We see that there are forces within the Bible which stands on that side. We identified there is the 60th kingdom. It has a duty to restrain the king of the north. Yeah, and we also have the east wind. Its role is to stand against the king of the north. Yeah, and we have the stone, the glorious holy mountain, which is the movement in Revelation chapter 18. The movement is in opposition to the king of the north, who is Babylon. Yeah, but we oppose it through a message. Yeah. So we can see the role. Yeah. And when the sixth kingdom fails its role, that leads to its downfall. The role of the sixth kingdom is to protect the people. Yeah. And when Adventism fails its role as a protector of the people, yeah, that leads to the downfall of Adventism, and it's replaced by this movement. And therefore, if the king of the south also fails to do its role, then that must lead to uh, the downfall of the king of the south. Yeah. Yeah. So, and we have been trying to understand if the king of the south has done its work faithfully, like its prophetic role. And we saw that in our history, under Vladimir Putin, the king of the south has failed its role. Instead of protecting or restraining the king of the north, the Sandelo movement, we see the king of the north, the king of the south, helping the Sandelo movement to into ascendancy to rule the world. Yeah. And which is a failure for the king of the south. Yeah, which is a failure for the king of the south. And we identify what made Putin to fail. It's not like by accident. It was a series of events. Putin is being like is changing. Yeah, building that hatred. Yeah, against the USA, and Putin couldn't actually even distinguish between the good USA and the bad USA. Yeah. Then later, for his ambitions, he had to make an alliance with the King of the North to help the King of the North to win power in 2016. Yeah. And the alliance, he made that decision way before, which we can mark 2014. We can mark it as the arrival of the alliance. Yeah. And we can see that by 2016, it's visible, Putin helping Trump. Yeah, by 2018, it's more visible, Putin reaping some benefits at the Battle of Hilekria. And at the Battle of Rafia in 2019, it's even more visible. Bataskuramo Battle of Rafia. Yeah. And that is the sin that the King of the South committed. And therefore, what we expected, and if the King of the South, Vladimir Putin, has failed as the King of the South, then that must lead to his downfall. Yeah. And his downfall of Putin as a King of the South, meaning someone must take over in Russia. Yeah. But Putin won't even allow someone to take over in Russia. Putin would decide even to kill that very last hope. Yeah. Putin would decide himself to die together with Russia. Yeah. And that's what we saw from 2021 to 2024. That period was supposed to be the downfall of Putin. The downfall of Putin. Yeah. especially when we looked at, there is actually a war which was taking place, and Putin was performing bad in that war, the Ukrainian war, which is still taking place. And there was a political, like a revolutionary party there led by Alexei Navalny. And in such a circumstance, it was ripe like for a change in Russia. Yeah. Of which the Navalnys, they understood that they could even compare themselves to 1917 as the Bolsheviks, but also Putin and his people, like they understood that because they are students of history. Therefore, they prevent history from repeating itself. Even Putin read that history, and that is how now they made sure that they didn't allow protests in Russia against the war. They passed laws to restrict people from expressing themselves about how sad they are about the war. Yeah, and they had to arrest Alex Navalny and start to crack down the party of Alex and the organization of Alex Navalny. Yeah, because they saw that as a threat, especially in a period of war. Yeah, and as long as Navalny was alive, yeah, Putin still felt threatened. Yeah, yeah, and just before the elections in 2024, Navalny was killed. Yeah, and we said the killing of Navalny was not the killing that would make Russia great again. Yeah, I mean great again in a positive sense. But the killing of Navalny was actually the stabbing of Russia itself. And that was the last hope for Russia to change its course, was done, killed by Putin. So, and we marked in 2024, we mark the death of Russia internally. Yeah, the death of Russia internally, which was caused by Putin. Yeah, through the killing of Navalny. Yeah, and from that moment, Russia sealed its fate up to probably the close of probation or the second advent. Russia will just be in that state. It will never change. Yeah, it will continue to be in that failure. Yeah. So that is what we did last time. So today I want us to conclude about then what happens with Russia. Since this is an internal death of Russia at the Sunday law, it's an internal death of Russia. So I want us to see what happens with Russia in this period from 2024 to COP. Yeah. First of all, we can see in this history that the King of the North seems to be not interested much in defeating the King of the South, like Russia. But he's not fighting Russia like itself as Putin and the country. I don't know if we're taking note of that. Yeah. I don't know if you're taking note of that. Mm, yeah. But I want us to take note of what's happening in this history. You know, like for us to understand what takes place here at the COP, the close of probation, in terms of the King of the South, what models can we employ there, which talks about the King of the South? You know, with this one, we can be discussing. Excuse me. So what happens at the COP? Okay, if we read Daniel chapter 11, verse 40 to 45, what's the last obstacle the king of the north needs to conquer? And at what way, man? What's the last obstacle the king of the north needs to conquer? No one knows. Daniel 11, verse 40 to 45. What's the last obstacle? The last obstacle?
Is it Egypt?
Yes, it's Egypt. Yes. So we have, like in Daniel chapter 11, verse 40 to 45, the last obstacle that needs to be conquered is Egypt, which takes place at the COP. So it's Egypt. Yeah. So we have Egypt. Then, if we use the model of Rome, yeah, I think the model that Terry looked at, we also learned in one of the classes, Sabbath classes, about the three things that the king of the north conquers for it to rule supreme. So if we look at Rome um, conquered three things. So we have the east, then we have the glorious land, and the south, which is Syria, Jerusalem, and the south was what? The south was Egypt. So we have Egypt. So this is pagan Rome. And we all know that pagan Rome typifies the modern king of the north, which is the USA. So we're going to have the USO, we have the modern king of the north is going to conquer the king of the south. Then, so this will be the Soviet Union, which is USSR. Then the glorious land, we're talking of USA 1 or the Sixth Kingdom. Then Egypt, we're talking of the world. The world, and the one Who is part of the world is the king of the south, Russia. Russia is part of this world. Yes, south, or which is Egypt, which is now the world. Like here, Russia is representing the world. Yeah, you can see we saw that model, like when you talk of Greece, Greece was a symbol of the world. So Greece was a symbol of the world, and Greece was divided into two. We have the north and the south, the king of the north and the king of the south, meaning when the king of the north has a party and the king of the south has a party, meaning the king of the north is not ruling the whole world, but the king of the north takes the entire Greece, which is the world, by taking over the south. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So, if that makes sense, you can see that once you start saying that the king of the south is completely taken at a Sunday law, national Sunday law. So this is a national Sunday law, then this is a worldwide. So you can see worldwide Sunday law. So you can see that once you start to teach that the king of the south is completely taken at a national Sunday law, what does that mean? What does it imply? Can you have, if the king of the south is taken completely at the national Sunday law, can you say there is still a world which the king of the north is supposed to conquer? Hmm? Is my question clear?
No, the
No,
question
repeat.
is clear.
Okay. So let me repeat what I'm saying. Okay, I'll write here. Yeah. So what we in Daniel chapter 2, Greece is introduced as the power that rules the world. So Greece is a symbol of the world. Then this is Greece, this stage is united. So this is a united Greece. Then Greece will go into a phase where Greece will be divided into the king of the north versus the king of the south. That is in, so we have phase 1, then phase 2. The king of the north versus the king of the south. So if the united Greece was the world, when it comes to stage 2, where Greece is divided into the king of the north and the south, what is the world at stage 2? Is it the north only or the south only, or it's both? I don't know if my question is clear. So what is the world at stage 2? Is it the north, the king of the north, or is it the south, or it's both the north and the south? What's the world at stage 2? At stage 1, Greece is one, and it's a symbol of the whole world. What about at 2? Hey, people are not responding. What's happening? Okay. George, what do you think? Yeah. So what I was saying is at number 1 here, Daniel 2, Greece equals to the whole world. And it's united. Then Greece goes into the second stage, according to Daniel chapter 11. We have Greece is divided into the north and the south. And my question is, what is the world at stage 2? Is it the north only, or is it the south only, or it's both the north and the south? Yes. Hello? Okay. So the king of the north and the king of the south at stage 2, this is the world. This is the world. Yeah. And so this is the world which is divided. Yeah. And by the way, there is also the glorious land there in Daniel chapter 11 there, which is part of also as the third entity of the world. Yeah. So this is why for Rome to rule supreme, it took the territory of the north, the glorious land, but still it was not ruling the world, not until it had to take control of the south. That is when now it ruled the world supreme for a prophetic year, which is 360 years. So with that information, in our time, we have the king of the north. Once you start to say things like, this is the national Sunday law, Then you say here at the National Sandelo, the South, which is the king of the South, taken completely, meaning conquered completely. Then at the same time, you are saying at the worldwide Sandelo, the world is taken. The world is taken. I want you to say that this model will be very wrong, because if the king of the South is taken completely, can there be a world to conquer at worldwide Sandelo? Yes. Can there be a world to conquer at a worldwide Sandelo if the king of the South was taken completely at the national Sandelo?
No.
Exactly. The answer would be no. Because when the king of the South is taken, once you have the glorious land, then the king of the South is taken, then that means the world is taken. Therefore, this model, which we used to suggest that the king of the South will be taken completely by the king of the North at a national Sandelo, but at the same time saying, come at the close of probation, the world will be taken. That model is very wrong. Because once the South is taken completely, when the king of the North has the glorious land already, then the whole world is taken. Unless if we are able to say at the national Sandelo, the whole world was conquered. Yeah, and you can't prove that because the history will show you it didn't take place. So this model is actually wrong. And if this is wrong, we all know our models, the lines were not lying when they were saying the king of the South is who died at Sandelo. Yeah. But we need now to start understanding what is that death, especially when we are living in the Sandelo period. And I think this is what speakers of the Sandelo messages, they have been trying to teach us that death at the Sandelo is an internal death, not a complete takeover, like the complete defeat of the king of the South. Yeah. You can't be saying the king of the South has been completely taken, then say the only thing remaining is the world. Yeah, it can't. Then what is the world? Yeah. So that is the problem. So if we just reconcile with this model, yeah, like the one for pagan Rome, Daniel 11 verse 40, what we can see is at the national Sandelo, when the world is being the king of the South, worldwide Sandelo, it's taken completely. So the king of the South taken completely together with the world, and this is the world.
I've got the question.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we've been learning that the deadly wound is inflicted when at Panion, and then at Sandero we expect the death of the king of the south. So
Yeah.
I was wondering how that looked like, and then you're saying actually the death that the king of the south is experiencing here is an internal death, like Russia thing. Anyway, you explained certain things how that looks like. So the king of the south not taken completely at the standalone. So isn't it possible while we see the king of the south? Okay, let me just try and think more about this. But try to make me understand just this. I hope you have and you got my question.
No. If you,
Okay.
Mm,
So what we learn or what we've been learning is that there's a death report and a death.
mm,
And this time around, it's permanent. There is no resurrection for the king of the south.
yeah.
And then we're marking the death at the Sunday road. Okay.
Yes.
So I was wondering how that is. And then you talked about it being an internal death. Okay.
Yes.
So an internal death. So we're expecting, so you mean the complete takeover of the king of the south, where it's going to be, yeah, you've said the completely takeover, it will be at the close of probation.
Yes.
So now my question is, how will the external, so I'm sure that you're saying there's an internal, and at the close of probation, it's an external, or maybe I'm just putting words in your mouth. What is the difference between the two?
Okay.
The internal. I'm sure you get my question now.
Okay. Okay. So what we can see here, what we expect at the close of probation is the whole world to be at the mercy of the king of the north, which is Donald Trump, which includes the king of the south. And in terms of exactly how it looks like, yeah, I don't know. We're yet to see how it will look like. Yeah, but of course you can see that we are in the Sandelo, and Putin is not looking like someone who is at the mercy of Donald Trump completely. Yeah, we can see with what is taking place in Ukraine. What is Trump saying? He's trying to force a ceasefire. Has Trump managed to do that? No. Yeah. Yeah, he's trying hard in Ukraine there, but yeah, it's failed. Yeah, and the war has continued. I think yesterday he was admitting that, it's so hard, especially on the part of Putin. That's what Trump mentioned. But that is just an example. But come by the time we reach to the COP, that won't be the case. Even Putin will be at the mercy of Donald Trump together with the world. Yeah, but I don't know exactly how things will look like. But that is just my opinion. Yeah, hope that has helped. Yeah.
Okay, it does. Like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have asked how it looks like. Let me ask you, so what do you mean by internal death? Maybe I didn't understand you just there. If I can understand well, then I'll be helped very much.
Okay. I don't know. But you attended like on Tuesday's lesson.
You want me to answer that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because like I explained it so well. So I was just like doing a revision. Yeah.
Okay.
And I even used like different examples to like try and explain. like what that internal death look like. Yeah. Yeah, I tried
Like
like
explaining
yeah,
about the Navalny, the death and things like that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and I've uploaded the presentation. Yeah, you might go through like it's the fourth one. Yeah. And if you have questions, feel free. Yeah. I think that's what I would say for now. Yeah. And also we saw that in that 2024, it's not only like the death of, we see that Navalny dies, and we see also Russia starts to lose like external influence, like starting with Syria. Russia lost Syria completely. Assad even ran away. It was taking place, is it December? Yes, December. Yeah, Assad ran away. Assad is in Russia. And so what we see now starts to happen Sunday onwards is Putin starting to lose that control over his spheres of influence. And we see it with Syria in 2024, December, there it's off from Russia. Russia loses it and it had no power to fight it. So we see that external. Yeah. So from the Sunday law to the COP, we see Russia starting to lose all those like allies one by one. Yeah. One by one. Yeah. And by the time you reach at the COP, Russia has lost its spheres of influence completely, and it's at the mercies of the King of the North. Yeah. So all that we can see it starting in 2024. Yeah. So here the world is conquered at the worldwide Sunday law. Yeah, for which that a universal Sunday law here, and the King of the South completely. Yeah, it's conquered here. Yeah, and they are punished like the King of the South is punished together with the world by the King of the North. The King of the North, its sin is failure of like assisting the King of the North to rise. It's like you assist a power that is going to kill you. Yeah, that is going to deal with you. That's what Putin did. The Bible, as they say, you reap what you sow. Or he who plays with a sword shall die by a sword. Yeah, and I'm applying that. What Putin played with is a sword, the King of the North, and he shall die by the hand of the King of the North. Or we might say you reap what you sow. Yeah. And that is what is going to happen. And it's so easy. If who else made an alliance with the King of the North, apart from Putin? Who else made an alliance? So we have alliance, which we can mark starting in 2014. Who made? So we have one. It's Putin. Who else made an alliance with the King of the North? Which we might say Trump. Who else? Okay, I'll mention it. Number two is the Republicans, the Republican Party. The Republican Party. What happened to the Republican Party? The Republican Party, they saw like Trump is bad. he was bringing a certain version of republicanism, which was against some of their ideologies. But why did they support him? And like, why did they support him despite, knowing like they could see how bad he is and all that? Why?
Remember, I said,
No, okay, Regina, feel free.
I think they wanted somebody radical in terms of, okay, there are times, okay, let me say it like this. There are times where you want something, you want to change, or you want certain change to happen in your life, but you know you can't do it. You are weak, and so at times you just need somebody who is stronger. In short, like a big gun. So they saw Trump to be that person who would bring that change they need, but they didn't know how radical it was going to be. I'm just trying.
Exactly. That's what is in my mind also. Yeah. There's a book I saw and read a bit, which was like, you know, the Republicans, like something like, okay, I'll just paraphrase what that book shows. It shows that, the Republicans, they saw there's something that they have been wanting to achieve, as you have said, Regina. And then when Trump appeared, they thought they could use Trump to achieve what they want. And as it has been always, someone would come, then he would leave power. They will use Trump, and when they achieve what they want, the party will remain in Trump after his reign, whatever, it will be a fig of the past. Yeah, that's what they thought. So they sold their souls to Trump, thinking it's them who are using Trump to achieve what they want, like to have control of the Supreme Court, reverse like those liberal policies and all that. Yeah. But actually, they ended up being consumed by Trump. And what history has shown us is that the one who was conquered, it's Trump. And those who thought they are going to use him, they have been used. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what those words mean, those who play with the sword. So be killed with the sword. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that is the fate of the Republicans. Yeah. Once you make a deal with the King of the North, Trump, it's not you winning. You'll be dead. Yeah. And that has been the fate of the Republican. And who else thinks that way also? Apart from the Republican, who else thinks that way?
Who thinks like using Trump?
Yeah, who thinks like the Republicans? Yes, using
I
Trump.
think it's Putin. I think it is
Yes,
Putin.
it's Putin. Putin also thinks that way. That I'm going to, like how German thought, like we are going to use Lenin to take over Russia, and by that way we'll conquer and all that. Go to World War II. Who defeated German? It's Russia.
Was Russia.
Exactly. And Putin, just like the Republicans, thinks he can use Trump. If you look like how the news medias portray Putin and Trump, how is the picture? Is it Trump controlling Putin or Putin controlling Trump?
Not sure.
How do the media portray the relationship between Putin and Trump? Who is the boss?
Not sure.
I think it has always been like Putin, the mastermind who is controlling Trump. Trump is called to be a puppet of Putin. That's how the media, pictures. And that is what Putin believes in. Yeah. And that is what the Republicans believed in. But what that person, Trump, is not someone who has that mind of like to be controlled by someone. Is someone who is bent to dominate and rule. Yeah. And we saw the fate with the Republicans, which is a parable of what is coming to Putin. Yeah. And what we are going to see, Putin will realize when it's too late. At the end, who is going to control the earth? Is Trump. And Putin, the fate will be of that of the Republican Party. That will be his fate. Yeah. And that is the reality. So we can learn the fate of Putin from what has happened to the Republican Party. So by the time we reach here at Worldwide Sunday Law, at the COP, we have Putin together, the world, which includes Putin. There will be at a mercy. He will be under Trump. I think Putin will regret, like the Republicans regretted. Yeah. I read like there's a book, I think it's an article. I think I have that quotation, I think so. Yeah. Where Trump, when he was running for presidency in 2015 there, Trump said he has never lost. And his plan and agenda was to take over the entire Republican Party. And when those words were heard by Republicans, they laughed. They laughed and they were saying, he's just a figure who just, those people who just come and pass. That's what they said. Then someone made an analysis, like in 2024, and said, Trump prophesied in 2015. Yes, I think we'll see that in some of the studies. I have those quotations. Trump prophesied in 2015, and everything that Trump said is what has happened. Is the boss of the Republican Party. Yeah. And this is what is going on with Putin. Yeah. Putin is not going to be above Trump or equal to Donald Trump. What we are seeing right now, and when we reach to a COP, Putin will be under Trump. Yeah. And that will be his punishment for allowing it, by using the sword to kill others, to take Helecria Asculum, then he would die with that very sword that he played with, that he used at COP. And that is complete done of the King of the South. Then I want us to just see what is taking place. Right now, are we seeing Donald Trump being tough with Putin himself? Are we seeing that? Is it tough on Putin?
No.
No, he's not. Yeah, you can see Trump is tough on Zelensky, tough on European Union, and other, but not on Putin. Yeah, and now we might think that that is confusing us, and you see, how can Russia be defeated when Trump is working with Putin and favoring Putin? Yeah, we need to see that this history from the Sunday Law to the COP is progressive. Yeah. And for me, my opinion, if you look at what is happening, is Russia a threat to the USA right now? Is Trump scared of Putin?
No.
No. Everyone knows. Trump would say, you know, when he comes public, what does he tell Putin? You, Putin, stop this war. And I'm the only one who can save both Ukraine and you. Meaning he's saying I'm the boss here. He's not scared of Putin. Who is afraid of Russia? Who is afraid of Russia? Who is so scared that the USA will stop helping Zelensky? Who is so scared? So I think you have seen what is happening. So if this is Russia, then there is Europe here. Then here's the USA. Does the USA want to be controlled by Europe or to be equal with Europe, or it wants to be above Europe, European Union?
Above.
Yes, it wants to be above. And who is the enemy of Europe, according to the words of Trump? It's Russia. You know, Russia poses a threat to Europe because they are neighbors. And Europe says the conflict in Ukraine, if Russia wins that conflict in Ukraine, what happens to Europe? They will be the next. Yes. Yeah. It does more. So this is why you have seen the European Union working to make sure that Russia is defeated in Ukraine. Now, to defeat Russia in Ukraine, who do they need?
The USA.
They need the USA. So, if the USA, Donald Trump defeats Russia right now, what will make the European Union to bow to Donald Trump? Yes, there is issue to do with economy, but also this issue, as long as Russia is there, it's part of the issue that Trump can use to make the Europeans to submit to Donald Trump. What did Trump did to Zelensky? He says, okay, if you don't want this deal, we are not going to help you at all. You have to fight your battle with Russia. What did Ukraine do? Did it protest or it had to bow down?
I'm sure it bowed.
Exactly. It had to bow down and sign the agreement for minerals with more demands. So Russia is useful to Trump for now to take over Europe and countries like Ukraine in terms of to sign those deals that he wants. Yeah, because if they are not going to do that, he'll be like, I'm done with Russia, deal with your problems. So this is why we can see is more tough on Europe, but less on Russia. This is what is taking place. So that is just one aspect for me, my opinion. another one, we can see that the USA is not dealing with Russia directly, trying to conquer Putin. But what is the USA doing to the allies of Russia? And those allies, one, we have Syria. Number two, we have Iran. Then three, there's Belarus and others. Even in Africa, yeah, we have some countries in Africa. And what is the USA? What did the USA do to Syria? Trump met with the Syrian new president, promised him to lift the sanctions. Yeah. And what that did to Syria, promised him to lift the sanctions and to help out, like Syria to be rebuilt again. And what it did to Syria is to start aligning itself more with Trump. Yeah, and this is why when Israel attacked Iran, Syria didn't condemn Israel. But during the Assad regime, Syria would always stand with Iran and condemn Israel. But Syria was quiet. And which was so much like to see that there's a change. Yeah. And one of the characteristics of Rome in taking over the world, it was peacefully through agreements. Yeah. So we can see Syria slowly but sure going. Yeah. Then we also see like Iran. Iran was bombed and Putin was against that. Did Trump say, no, I'm scared of Putin? No, he bombed Iran. And at the same time, forcing Iran to come into agreement with the USA, and is promising even like to lift some sanctions over oil, that China can be buying oil and all that. And all those agreements, they are meant to push Iran to the USA. And recently, like we saw, like he sent people to Belarus. Yeah, with some discussions. Yeah, So that is Donald Trump, like the spheres of influence in Africa. It's Trump who brought Congo and Rwanda together for an agreement and all that. And even in Africa, it's the one who is doing, that job. Like, so what we are seeing is little by little, the countries that were more closely aligned with Russia, they are changing their positions and aligning themselves with Trump. Yeah. With Trump. And that is what is happening progressively. What we are seeing is the king of the South, the king of the North is taking the spheres of influence of the king of the South, not in a way that we expected, but in a peaceably way, using, economy, to spread its economic benefits. If countries align with it, then those countries, with money and all that, Yeah, and if money can't work, we see what happened in Iran. He uses the military. And that is how Rome used to work. Yeah, it took over the world through like peace, alliances, and agreements. And that is what the King of the North is doing. So by the time we reach to the COP, the King of the South will be completely under Trump's control. Yeah, under Trump's control. And we can even see it now, like what's taking place, who is ascending and who is decreasing in power. And that is Trump. So I think I'll end here with these studies over the King of the South. They were meant to help us, maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm correct in everything. I'm willing to be corrected. These are just my ideas. Yeah, and I hope they have helped and clarify some points. Yeah, over the issue to do with the King of the South. Yeah, the issue to do with the King of the South. Yeah. And God bless you for these studies. Yeah, I think
I've
for
got
now.
something to say.
Okay. Yeah, you can.
Yes, I'll start with saying, in this situation, what I'm seeing is the cheater became cheated with the Republican Party as well as Putin. They thought they were
Yes,
cheating Trump, but he cheated them. The same
exactly.
applies to Putin. So they didn't know. So in
Yeah,
short, they were outplayed. They were the owner of the game. Then I beg your pardon. Trump outplayed them.
exactly.
So you are talking about about the alliances,
Yeah,
like who had made the Republican Party as well as Putin, they had made an alliance with Trump,
yeah,
who in this context we're looking at as the King of the North. So
yeah,
I remember the studies that were done by Odete.
yeah,
What made Rome to conquer Egypt and the glorious land is because of the alliances that they had made.
yeah,
So you find that because of Rome defeating Cyrus, then they made that alliance. Now that alliance is what caused them in the end for them to be conquered. Same with the glorious land. They made an alliance, then they were conquered by Rome
yeah,
as well. So you don't make a deal with the king of the north. Once you do that, then you know that you're inviting them at your doorstep. So that's what
exactly.
happened with the Republican Party as well as the king of the South. They made those alliances and now they are paying. Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
wanted to say.
Yeah, it's nicely put. Yeah, those points. Thank you very much for those points. And one thing we have learned about Trump, which people keep on repeating the same mistake, is underestimating Trump. Trump looks to be this person who is dull, like who doesn't think. And the Putins and those Republicans and others, they are viewed to be very sharp, who calculate things and all that. But in that very image, do you know that that is even how God's kingdom is? God's kingdom looks so peaceful. And when it's rising, people will be saying, where can this thing go? They won't even pay attention. By the time they realize the threat that God's kingdom poses, it's too late. And I think that is how the king of the north also rise. In the 2016, they underestimated Trump, but he won the elections. Yeah, throughout that has been Trump, even in the 2024, the primaries, the 2024 elections, everything. People always underestimate Trump. And by underestimating Trump, he ends up winning. So, and even the king of the South, I think, underestimated Trump. Yeah, the Republicans, they underestimated Trump. Yeah, and we must not repeat the same mistakes. The medias, everyone, they underestimated Trump. Yeah, and as you have said, Regina, that is how even Rome rise from a small nation into a big nation which rules the world. And that is how Trump has been rising. And I think now it has shocked everyone how much power Trump is holding right now. Yeah, it has shocked everyone. And it will even shock them more when we reach to the COP. Yes. Thank you for all participated in these studies. Yeah. I thought maybe this will help out members here in Zambia and probably across the world in the movement to clarify some things. And as I said, I'm willing to be corrected. Feel free. This doesn't mean like I understand everything or this is 100% correct. Yeah, feel free. If you see anything, you can reach out to me. Hope the studies were a blessing. God bless you all. We can pray. We say thank you, Lord, for leading us throughout this series of the King of the South. Thank you for the times that we are living in and the light that you are shedding to us. We count it as a blessing, Lord, and continue teaching us in the same manner. Be with every teacher who is educating us about the Sunday law events. Continue pouring your rain upon us so that we may be ready for the harvest. Be with me, be with my members, be with the leaders of the movement and all the teachers. This is my humble prayer. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.